everyone. How are you doing? We are running a little bit behind today. I got delayed with a workshop I was doing with another group. So apologies to those who were here on time. My bad. These things happen. Welcome to the Communication Blueprint. I am your host, Ashley Bright. We are streaming live on LinkedIn and YouTube. To be clear, this is a companion live to my bi-monthly newsletter called the Communication Blueprint, which is available on LinkedIn or through Patreon. It's a free subscription. And my goal here is to give you easy, digestible, actionable strategies that you can use the next time you are stepping on stage, getting in a meeting, getting in front of the camera, so that you can turn your words into action and move from a place of fear to confidence. That is what it's all about. And I appreciate if you could share this with as many people as possible, because I want to help everyone. Everyone has an idea, they have insight, they have value to share. And I want to make sure that you learn how to do it effectively so other people feel what you're doing and want to join you, want to support you, want to buy from you, etc., etc., etc. And I also want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Opus Clip. If you are not familiar with Opus Clip, they are amazing. I use them all the time and I recommend them. They are a piece of online technology that takes long form video and turns it into short form clips. It does all the captioning and editing. It saves me so much time. And so I recommend, if you're interested, use that link below to get 30% off your subscription. All right, so thank you for that. All right, so let's get into it. What are we talking about today? Well, we are talking about enhancing body language. It is so important to enhance your body language. We're talking about your hands, your face, your eyes, your body. All of it is part of the performance that you are delivering. It is so critical, because if you do it well, you use all of those things effectively, it will support and highlight your message to others and bring them in. Conversely, if you do it poorly, guess what happens? It detracts, it takes away from your message. It takes away from what you are sharing and the value that you bring. Because, I don't know if you've heard this, but 50% or more, there are studies saying a little bit more, of what people perceive about you in terms of your confidence, your authority, your influence, your knowledge on a topic is based on your body language and how you move and how you engage beyond what you are saying. And so it's a little scary, but if you're not doing it, this is your chance to learn how to do it, because as the old saying goes, actions speak louder than words. Because if you do it well, it will build trust, it will reinforce your message, and it will engage your audience. So today we're going to talk about that. We're going to cover 7 tips, tricks, insights that you can use to enhance your body language and how you are perceived when you are on stage, on camera, on video, in a meeting, whatever it is you are doing and how you are using it. So let's begin. The first thing I want to talk about is something called intentional gestures. So when you are talking, when you are sharing something, you want your gestures to have meaning. So if you're talking about growth, for example, growth in the market, growth in the industry, growth of this product, use your hands. We're talking about growth. It's going to be amazing. Sky's the limit. Okay, see, that's how the gestures are intentional. All right, if you're talking about something small, oh my God, this is so, it's so small. It used to be here, now it's right here. Okay, so using your gestures intentionally so that they match your message, that makes a tremendous amount of difference. Because there's nothing worse, I'm sure we've seen this, where it's like, hey, so we're talking about growth here and we're going to be doing this, and it's, oh my God, it's going to be so good and I can't wait to tell you about it. It's going to be wonderful. Okay, that It's not connecting. It's not, there's a misalignment of what you're doing. And people will feel that, they will see it, and it will not be good. It will not be good. So you want to keep it in gestures intentional. You want to keep them balanced. Okay. You want to remain in this zone where you are able to be seen and you're balanced with all of your different activities. You want to keep, I'm sitting right now, so it's a little tough, but you know, when you're standing, keep your palms open. Okay. If you've ever watched Apple, a lot of the Apple videos, they do this. They have their hands like this down here, and then they will do this, and they will do this, and they will do this. And the idea is that they're creating an openness. There's a contact point, which for them is allowing them to feel confident because they're touching. Okay, many times a lot of that uncertainty that you see people when they're up on stage, it's because there's energy coursing through them. This fight or flight energy is coursing through them and they're nervous. And so what happens is they end up fidgeting. So by doing that, it's an intentional gesture. See what I'm doing here? It's an intentional gesture that keeps you grounded and it gives you a centering point so you can do these gestures. Okay, we're going to grow. We're going to, sky's the limit. Okay, it's really small. Okay, so very much think about your intentional gestures. Those are so important. Okay, the third thing I want to talk about, I guess that's point one. So point two is perfect posture. Okay, I'm not demonstrating it here necessarily because I'm not standing, but even sitting, I am demonstrating. I just said I'm not demonstrating it, but clearly I am demonstrating good posture. Okay, you want to have, in the article, in the newsletter, I called it perfect posture, but it's really about that balance. And so I'm standing tall, my shoulders are broad, I'm looking straight at you, I'm using my hands, I'm open. Okay, so you want to be very confident in standing tall, because again, it's about that perception. If you're standing, I'm not doing it now, but if you're standing, you want to be standing nice and straight, nice and tall, confident, strong. You don't want to be slouched over or sort of all tiny. You want to be strong, confident, and grounded. Okay, plant your feet. I remember years ago I was at a pitch event, and this person was presenting, and very, very commanding, good story, great product. They had rehearsed. It sounded quite good. I don't think they noticed this, but everyone in the room noticed it because they were pacing back and forth. They were moving towards the audience and then moving back from the audience and then moving towards the audience and moving back from the audience in a straight line in one direction, or excuse me, one straight line, right? They didn't move left or right. They didn't move around. In general, it was just, and it really, really detracted from the value of what they were trying to share. And it's really, really unfortunate. And I'm just checking to see if we got some comments. I want to make sure I'm paying attention. Since we're running late, I think probably a lot of people dropped off. And so again, my apologies. But for those that are still sticking around, I appreciate it, or tuning in late. Thank you so much for doing that. All right, so that was, we talked about point one, which was all, I'm looking at my notes here because I got a lot going on, and you know, you got to keep track of these things. But so we talked about intentional gestures. Okay, make sure you're being intentional. We talked about perfect posture, so making sure that you are, whether you're sitting or standing, you are strong, you are confident, you are anchored, you are grounded. So important. Now, those are some things you want to be doing. What about things you want to be avoiding? Those are very important to understand as well. And so some things you want to avoid, common pitfalls, if you will, are the following. You want to be aware of the nervous effect. Okay, I talked earlier about how Apple people tend to do this with their hands. Well, what's going on is we have this natural fight or flight mechanism that kicks in whenever we are on stage, on video, in front of a group of people. It's natural. I've talked about this in some of the previous conversations. You can't get rid of it, but it's about getting it to move in formation, get those butterflies to fly in formation. And so if you are not aware of it and you are not conscious of it in the way you are practicing and rehearsing, what happens is it becomes nervous energy that causes people to fidget You see them up on stage and they're sticking their hands in their pockets, or they're putting their hands behind their back, or they're crossing their arms, or they're just generally fidgeting. And if you feel uncomfortable and that fidgeting is telegraphing to your audience, again, it undermines your message. Now, I talked earlier about standing tall and being confident and grounded. Well, you can be too tall and too grounded if you are kind of standing there like a statue and your arms are at the side and you're not moving and your head's not moving and you're just very statuesque. Okay. And so that is a negative. You do not want to be statuesque because it takes away. Your audience is going to mirror the energy that you are putting out. And so if you are standing there stiff as a board or as a statue, no hand gestures, no facial expressions, no movement, how are they to feel from that? It really, really undermines your message. The other thing is that you want to avoid is sending mixed messages. And so if you are busy saying, I am so excited to be here, but your body language is saying, I would rather be anywhere but here. It's a mix match, okay? It's not aligned. And so much like the intentional gestures, you want to make sure that your message follows with the body language. There is no mixed messaging. So if I am excited to be talking to you about this, then my body language should feel excited too. Or if I'm being very, I got to tell you guys something. It's been just stressing me out. Okay. Do you see how my body language changed? Because now I'm being serious, I'm being intimate, I'm bringing people in. And so there isn't a mixed message there. Okay. So you want to be always thinking about, how does the body language that I'm giving off, the gestures, etc., align with the message that I'm sharing? Okay. And having a mix, I keep having trouble with that word, a mixed message in the way your body's moving versus the words can really be problematic. And so you want to avoid that wherever you can. Now, I've talked about this in great length on a bunch of my previous conversations, a bunch of the previous communication blueprint. This has come up, and it's really about practice. Okay. And you can think of it a couple different ways. One, practice makes perfect, or practice makes less awkward, however you want to think about it. Because again, it's all about how people perceive you and the energy that you are giving off. And so if you are confident, if you are commanding, you are grounded, you're using intentional gestures, then that goes a really long way to creating a good engagement with your audience. But that doesn't come by accident. It is all about practice. I had a great quote from Marnie, who on LinkedIn the other day, she made a comment where we were talking about practice. And I think in my clip, I'd said, practice, practice, practice. I repeated it 3 times to really emphasize the point. And she did it in such an eloquent way, and I won't do it justice, but she essentially said that practice allows for you, how did she say it? Marnie, I'm going to have to, hold on. It's important that I look this up because it was a great line and I want to make sure I get it right. So let's see if I can find it here. Bear with me here. We are working on the fly and we're making this happen. And so let me see if I can find it. Where was it? Goes on stage. Oh, maybe it was this one. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Here we go. I love this. Okay, so Marnie Robbins, if you don't know Marnie, connect with her. She's on LinkedIn. But I love the way she said this. So she said, when the message becomes muscle memory, the charisma has more space to show up. I love it. Marnie, that is so quotable. So thank you. The point of it is that practicing, whether it's your body language, the words that you are saying, the story you are telling, practicing to the point where it becomes muscle memory now allows you to just be present and enjoy the moment with your audience, with your client, with the person that's across from you. And you are present. In fact, it came up, I just was across the street at the Better Business Bureau and I hosted a storytelling workshop for a really amazing group of nonprofit leaders. And we were talking about structuring stories and how to create your stories. And one of the things I talked about is that it's hard to craft that story in the beginning. But once you craft it and once you start to practice it and internalize it, now it becomes muscle memory. And so that you are no longer engaged in a conversation or a presentation with someone and you're in your head thinking about the words. You're instead present. You're right there in the moment, talking to them and reacting. And the key in the context of this workshop or this storytelling masterclass was that you develop 3 to 5 core stories that you share. 2 or 3 of those are specific to your target audience, your customer, your client. The other 2 might be specific to your origin story about why you're doing the work that you're doing or why you're part of this organization. And the idea is that you have crafted those, you've practiced and internalized them so that now they're sitting back there available when you are at a networking event, when you are at a meeting, when you hop up on stage, whatever it is. And so now you can interact with someone, you're very present, you're responding to them in the moment. And when they say something that triggers one of those stories, you just drop that, completely natural, completely candid and confident, and you're not busy thinking about the story. It's become second nature. And so I'm going to quote Marnie again with that. And when the message becomes muscle memory, the charisma has more space to show up. Hallelujah, Marnie. I love it. So well said. So thank you for that. All right. So what are we talking about next? So techniques for practice. Okay. I hope I've drilled into you the fact that you need to practice. You need to get comfortable with practicing. And that is how, as Marnie said, the charisma will come out. And so how do you practice? Well, I'm going to say a couple, but there's a variety of things. So top things I would suggest. So number 1, when you are practicing, do so, if you're giving a presentation, do so without your slides. Hopefully you've already got those figured out. Close your laptop, close your slides, and do your rehearsing, your practicing without your slides. Think about how you're going to open. What's that opening story, that opening hook? How are you transitioning into the main part of your presentation or your talk? And then how are you closing? And so practice without your slides will, just as I've been talking about, help you internalize that. It will help you get off the script and think about it more in terms of an outline. I had a previous conversation in one of my previous videos about don't memorize a script. Instead, be comfortable and understand the outline so that you can be present and be there with people. So that's the first thing, is practice without your slides. The second thing is when you are practicing, say it out loud. Find a space that you feel comfortable speaking in a voice and a tone that is indicative of what you will be doing when you are presenting, and get comfortable with that. Because I'm going to talk about this actually on our next newsletter. Our next live is going to be about vocal foundation. But your voice is your instrument. And so getting really comfortable with it, learning how to go up and go down, and how to pitch it and tone and inflection becomes really, really important as a tool for creating engagement and sharing your message. So practice out loud, get comfortable with it. Because I'll tell you, I've had clients where they get mic'd up and they're not used to speaking in public, and then they get a microphone on and suddenly they hear themselves around the room echoing, and the anxiety level goes through the roof, and you're suddenly like, oh my God, do I sound that way? What's going on? I can't believe it. And it's detrimental. It all goes against your message. So definitely practice, say it out loud, get really, really comfortable with it. The other thing, and I can't really demonstrate it here because I'm sitting, but if you're going to be doing something where you're standing, you're up on stage, you're leading a meeting, you're in front of a group of people, or maybe you're on video, is get comfortable when you're practicing with moving around a little bit. Okay, I don't mean wander all over the space and wander off frame out of camera. I'm saying move around in a way that is about landing a message. Okay, I keep saying okay, is about landing a message. So I've talked about this in previous conversations that if I'm in a room, I want to be looking at someone and landing that message. And then I move over here and I look at this other person and I land the message. And so if you are moving around, that will allow you to do that. There's some other benefits to it as well. So from an audience perspective, when you move around, not like the person I was talking about in a few minutes ago that was just moving back and forth and back and forth. Don't do that. What I'm saying is comfortable moving around the space, landing a message, because the audience will perceive that as confidence. They will see you as an authority, and it will up-level your influence. Okay. And also from a standpoint of you managing that fight or flight, managing all that energy that's coursing through you, by moving around, you are giving that energy a place to go. Okay, I talked earlier about fidgeting, with your hands and sticking them in your pockets. That energy is coursing through you because your body is giving you that fight or flight because it thinks you're going to need to run or jump up a tree or fight. And so it's giving you all that energy. And so by moving around when you are practicing, you will get comfortable so that now when you get up on stage, when you get on video, when you get in front of that meeting, you will have a place for that energy to go. It'll be really comfortable, and your audience will perceive that as confidence and authority. All right, so a little recap of those. Practice without your slides, say it out loud, and I'm going to do the recap again. Say it out loud. Hold on. Check. It's doing gestures. I find it so frustrating. And I always forget to turn them off. So let's do that recap again. Some things to practice. Number one, I'm not going to put my fingers up because it'll trigger the thing. So number one, do it without your slides. Number two, say it out loud. Number three, move around. All of these things, if you do them while you're practicing, will build confidence and comfort and diminish your anxiety so that when you do go live or go on stage, you'll be seen as a confident authority who knows what they are talking about. And that's what it's all about. A couple other things to think about as it comes to practice. What you can do, this is a great technique, is record yourself. Just get out your phone, record yourself delivering your pitch, your opening, whatever it is. You don't have to necessarily record the whole thing, but record enough that you can see a chunk of it, 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then watch the recording, but do these things. First of all, watch it without the audio. What that will do is you will focus specifically on your body language, which is what we're talking about today. And you will suddenly see a whole host of things that you didn't realize you were doing. Maybe you're fidgeting. Maybe you're pivoting back and forth. Maybe you're standing like a statue. Whatever it is, by seeing it without the audio, you focus on just that body language. And so it's something that knowledge is power. And so it's something that you've now identified that you can work on when you're practicing. The second thing you want to do is play the video, but don't look at the video, just listen. Because what that'll do is you will hear the way you're using your voice and your vocal foundation and how you are using your quote unquote instrument. And so you will hear the words that you were saying. You will hear the inflection in your voice or lack thereof. You will hear if you were saying or ah, or in my case, I often say K. And so you will identify those things, again, before you go on stage, before you go out in front of the meeting, before you deliver your pitch, and you can work on them in your practice sessions. Okay, so powerful. And then last but not least, watch the thing with the video, with the audio, and just enjoy it. The key is just recognizing this is practice. Practice makes perfect, or as they say, practice avoids awkward. So use those techniques to help you get better and be more confident when you get on stage and you're using body language to really benefit you rather than detract. Okay? So I want to be respectful of time. So I want you to, here's my call to action for you as you practice. There's a lot of things I threw at you there, but you don't have to do them all because this is a process. Okay, that's when you see someone up on stage and they're just in their head and they're all over the place and they're not paying attention. It's because they're thinking about all these things at once. They're thinking about their body language and their voice and their gestures and their speech and what are they going to say, and it's a mess. And so these things take time. So it's about incrementally building these things into what you're doing. And that's why I harp on practicing, because it's so vital. Now, the topic today was enhancing body language and how people are perceiving that body language from you. And so that's where these practice techniques and the things I've talked about are going to be so valuable. So I want you to be thinking about how you can integrate some of these things. So my call to action for you today, in a way that you can improve your body language, is to try one new gesture in your upcoming meeting or presentation. Maybe it's doing the Apple video style where you put your hands, and you can't see it because I'm off camera, but you put them down right about at your belly button or maybe just at your belt. And the idea is that those hands are anchoring you and they're giving a place for that energy to go. And now, so try that, and then gestures. We're going to go this way. We're going to go that way. It's going to be big. Okay, so try a gesture. Just start integrating a gesture into your next speech or meeting. Slow baby steps, baby steps. The other thing to think about, and this doesn't necessarily need to be something that you do in a meeting or in a presentation, is let's say you're standing in line getting coffee, you're at the grocery store, you're doing something, you're at the bank. Does anyone go to the bank anymore? And you are just aware of your posture. What is my posture doing? How am I standing? And being aware of it and looking at what am I doing with my hips? Am I shifting? Are my shoulders straight? So it's really about building awareness of what your body is doing, and that will help you start to internalize those things. This is what it's all about. I hope you're seeing a theme here, that through the practice, through this repetition, you are internalizing these things so that you become more comfortable and they become second nature. The other thing I want to talk about is, and I didn't touch on this, but I should have, it's in the article, is eye contact. I did refer to it a little bit when I was saying that, you land a message over here and you land a message over here and you move to these places. But eye contact is one of the most critical things when you are building rapport with your listeners, with your audience. And so you want to look people in the eye. You want to look people in the eye. All right. It's okay if you got a large group, you scan the room as you're engaging. Does anyone have questions, that kind of thing. But you want to be intentionally looking individuals in the eye. You don't need to stare at them and be like a stalker and be weird about it. And for many people, I know that's very uncomfortable to look at people in the eyes. And so as a call to action for you to practice is I want you to just intentionally look at someone 2 or 3 seconds, look in their eyes, just make that eye contact. When you look at them, say, hey, how's it going? Eye contact. Or when you're delivering a meeting, delivering a presentation or you're running a meeting, just look at someone directly and say, does that point land? Does that make sense? And then see what they say. And if you did that 2 or 3 times in your next meeting, I guarantee your perceived authority will be up. I guarantee it. It will go up. Okay? So those are some suggestions. Those are things that you can do to up-level your body language, up-level that part of you that we often don't think about, but it becomes a critical part of your success and how you are perceived on stage. So practice, and practice some more, because body language and enhancing your body language will be a game changer for you in your success and how people perceive your message. So do not leave this to be a throwaway or an afterthought. Okay, enhancing your body language is all about intentional gestures, being very conscious and aware of your posture, making eye contact with your audience, because all of that is going to strengthen your message. All right, so thank you everyone for joining me today on the Communication Blueprint when we were talking about the newsletter titled Enhancing Body Language, the art of intentional gestures, posture, and eye contact to strengthen your message. I hope you learned something. I hope you got some nuggets out of that are valuable, because that is my goal. And if you have any questions, please get in touch with me. Reach out through whatever channel works for you, and we'll see what we can do to help you enhance your body language. And I hope the noise behind me or around me wasn't too loud today. I'm not in my office, as you can see, and so we're making do. So with that, I will say thank you everyone for tuning in. If you missed this and you want to share this with someone, I don't know how that works. If you missed it, you wouldn't be seeing this. But if you know someone that could benefit from this and you want to share the replay or the recording of this, it's on LinkedIn and it's on YouTube. And please, if you liked what you saw today, if you got some value out of it, or if there's something you want to call me out on, or you have a question, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment. I'd love to know what resonated, what didn't, and if you have questions, because as I said in the beginning, my goal with this is to help as many people as possible. I want you to be empowered. I want you to learn how to share your message effectively so that you are truly inspiring people when you speak. So with that said, please check us out on YouTube, hit the subscribe, and I love to hear what you have going on and how I can help you. All right, so what's going on in 2 weeks? The next news, I'm losing my train of thought. In 2 weeks, the newsletter will be coming out. We are going to be doing a deep dive on the most versatile and often underrated instrument we have in our arsenal. I touched on it a few times today. Yes, the human voice, because the right pitch, tone, and volume can take your words from meh to magnificent. Do you see that? Meh to magnificent. Impressive, right? So the other side, if you do it poorly, it goes from poor to yikes to ugly really, really, really fast. So we want to avoid that. All right, so tune in 2 weeks, because we are going to be talking about how to master vocal foundations to make your speech dynamic and captivating. And until then, remember, don't just speak, inspire. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
"20 seconds till you're on."
You're going to screw this up. If you don't know what the hell you're talking about, why do you even bother? You are going to absolutely look like an idiot.
You got this.